So now we're going to do some finishing touches on our pop art. You have the option of adding some drawing lines like in my inspiration by making a new blank layer at the top of the layer panel. Layer, new layer, drawing. And then you can select one of the colors, say, and underneath the brush is the pencil tool. And you can zoom in a little, and if you wanted to, add a bit of expressive line to it. And I always think this is kind of fun. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if there are parts that are a little undefined, you can always go back in and add some drawing to those. So I think it's kind of a cool effect. And because it's on a blank layer, if you change your mind, you can always go in and use the eraser. Right, so that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is to make a new layer, fill layer, solid color, and calling it lines. And picking maybe a nice dark gray. Inverting this layer mask by hitting Command-I. Maybe changing it to we'll leave it at normal for now. And then on that layer mask, well, adding back lines by using the layer mask. So depending on who your inspiration was, you might want a more painterly effect like this. And that is just done using another fill layer with the layer mask. If you decide you need that to be a little darker, you can make it a little darker. If you need it to be a little lighter, you can make it a little lighter. And that's also another way to bring in some line work, right? And if you want to change it, you can change the opacity. If you want it to blend, you can change the blending mode. So that's another way to bring in some more expressive lines, right? Especially if you're using the Wacom tablet, because it's pressure sensitive, you can add more delicate, thick and thin lines. If you want to try adding pencil, you can also do that on a blank layer. Okay? Now, did anyone else have something that was inspiring them that they weren't sure how to do? Is that pretty good? The other thing I'll show you very quickly is sometimes there's vector shapes behind some of Andy's things, and you can create them using a layer mask and a fill layer, new fill layer, solid color, and we can call this shape. You say we keep it that color. And you could, with kind of a hard brush, paint in some effects, some different kind of vector not vector shapes, just kind of organic or geometric shapes.
Couldn't you do something like that with a stamp?
You could do it with a vector shape too, and I'm going to show you how to do that. That will appear on top of it. If you want, you can move it down in the layer panel so that it does not appear on top. It appears just on top of, say, part of the background. And then you can mask off parts you don't like. So I don't mind like these two here, but this one kind of bugs me. I also might want to add some drawing with that too, so using the pencil. If you go to your shape tool, which is U, you could also do a rectangle. And just draw a big old rectangle in there. Fill it. It will fill. It allows you to choose the fill color here or over here. And then you could change the way that that looks too. When you click off of the layer, you'll see it added a much more geometric shape, right? As opposed to being painterly. And that is just done by using the rectangle, the rounded rectangle, the ellipse, or the polygon tool. We won't get into the custom shape tool right now, but there are custom shapes. Okay, so I would say keep it very simple. Andy's not really about like getting too crafty with it. And we could make that. That looks awesome. Let's change that to multiply or soft light. So you can see you've got some different effects that you can. And I might add a little more drawing work over here for the negative space or another line coming in. So to add those shapes, the shortcut is U, and you can use these vector shapes, move them up and down in your layer panel, and experiment with the blending mode and also the opacity. Okay, any questions on that? All right, the next video we will go through how to make 4 versions.